ladies, how are you guys doing? It's Sandra, TTC 45. I am on my way to work this afternoon. I didn't work this morning because today was my first day of my IVF number 3 cycle. So I had to go in for the ultrasound and the baseline blood work, and then I had to go up to my granddaughter's school to get her schedule together because my big old gal is going into high school in the fall. So we had to go up there and get her schedule straightened out for high school this upcoming school year. And so I just decided to take the whole morning off and just go into work late today. Anywho, I am probably going to be collaborating this video with an updated video, because the reason why I decided to make this video now is because I'm a little bit down about the fact that it is a strong possibility that my IVF 3 cycle may be canceled again. As you guys recall, I wanted to start my donor cycle this month, but unfortunately my donor had to lose a little weight. The doctor wasn't comfortable starting the stems on her with her BMI being as high as it was. So I decided to take this opportunity to try one more time using my own eggs. And we found out on January the 27th during a saline ultrasound that I had a polyp, and that polyp was removed on February the 7th. So because of that, they would like for your uterus to have at least 1 month of healing before they start you on any IVF medication. So they pushed me off into the March cycle. Now, this clinic unfortunately only does retrievals 1 week per month, whereas my other clinic, they did retrievals every day. And that's because they did the retrievals in their own office with their own embryologists. This new clinic I'm going to, they're using an outside embryology department, and they're also using an outside surgery center to do the retrieval. So they're only contracted to use this embryologist and surgery center for 1 week per month. So I was a little bit skeptical about that because, as you guys know, my body does its own things, and to try to tell my body I want you to produce this at this particular time, that's just like telling a toddler I want you to go in there and cook me some breakfast. I just don't understand why my body has a mind of its own, but it does, and there's nothing I can do about it. But I figured, well, let's try and see what happens. So, of course, they wanted to do things a little different from what was done in my last 2 cycles to prevent premature ovulation. So they decided to suppress my ovaries by using progesterone. So I was on Provera for about a week, and during which it was time for my normal cycle to come down. The Provera was supposed to stop the cycle from coming down, but it didn't. Again, my body does its own things. I ended up coming on my cycle anyway, so they had me to come in on cycle day 4 for monitoring and ultrasound, and all the blood work was normal where it should be at the baseline, and my ultrasound was normal. There was no sign of any cyst or No sign of anything going on with the ovaries, except for the fact that I had 10 plus follicles in both ovaries. So that was a good sign. And so they decided, well, we're gonna stop the progesterone and just start you on the birth control, because obviously the progesterone didn't do what we wanted it to do. So in the middle of the cycle, they decided to abruptly stop the progesterone and switch me over to the birth control. And I don't know if it was the progesterone, but I'll have some really heavy menstrual bleeding. Not to mention, it lasted like forever. You know, my menstruals usually is never no more than 4 days. This one went on for a little bit past a week, but they stated that it was a combination of me having that hysteroscopy where they had to remove that polyp, and me being on that progesterone is what's causing the heaviness with the menstrual and possibly the long delay with it. So I just had to be patient and wait for it to stop. So it finally stopped sometime the beginning of last week. And I continued on with the birth control up until Friday. They wanted me to stop the birth control Friday. And with any birth control, you're supposed to have withdrawal bleeding after you stop the last pill, I'm sorry. But if you guys recall, back in December when I did my second IVF, my other RE put me on 7 days of birth control, and when I stopped the last pill, I never got any withdrawal bleeding. I had to actually call them on day 4 after I stopped the last pill, and I asked them, how long do you guys want me to wait, because I have no menstrual and I have no sign that a menstrual is even coming. And they told me to just come on in, and I came in on day 5 after the last pill, and my baseline was normal, the blood work was normal, the ultrasound was normal, so they decided to continue on with the cycle. That was one of the reasons why I didn't want them to use birth control again, because it didn't work the first time. Well, it worked to do what the doctors wanted it to do, but I never had that withdrawal bleeding, and I guess it didn't matter to that doctor. With this clinic, is a little different. If you don't have that withdrawal bleeding after you take that last pill, they cancel your cycle. And I took my last pill on last Friday, and today will be 5 days after I took the last pill, and no withdrawal bleeding. So I was afraid to tell them that I didn't have any withdrawal bleeding, because I knew that they were going to cancel the cycle if they found that out, and I didn't want the cycle to be canceled, because that means that I will have to wait until April retrieval to start my IVF treatment, because I wouldn't be able to do Marches. And so I figured if I can get away with that, then fine. Let's just see how the ultrasound and the blood work do. Well, the ultrasound started off bad right in the door. Now remind you, 2 weeks ago, only 2 weeks ago, I just had a baseline ultrasound and blood work, because that was the first day of, that was when I first started my normal menstrual cycle. Everything was fine. I had 10 plus follicles. Everything was fine. Then I go in today and everything is not fine. For one, in my right ovary, there's this humongous cyst up in there that wasn't there when I had the ultrasound 2 weeks ago. It was huge. Like, I saw her measuring it, and she didn't say one word to me as to what she was doing and what was it that she was doing it for. I had to ask her, because I knew it wasn't my ovary and I knew it wasn't my uterus, because it was too clear. It looked just like a big old round circle. And I asked her, I said, what is that you're measuring? She said, oh, it's just a cyst. I mean, she said it so nonchalant, like, oh, it's just a cyst. And I'm like, a cyst? Where the heck did that come from? I said, I didn't have no cyst before. And she was like, oh, you didn't have any? She said, well, maybe it'll just go away on its own. And I'm like, maybe it'll just go away on its own. I'm still trying to figure out where the heck did it come from. I said, because I just had ultrasound 2 weeks ago and I did not have no cysts. Cysts usually are formed around ovulation. You know, it happens when fluid gets up into the follicle and it fills up and it gets larger and larger and larger. But if I was on medication to suppress the ovaries, there should not have been no ovulation. And there wasn't any ovulation because I have been using my digital ovulation test, and I've been using the sticks just to monitor things, and I have not had no sign of any type of LA surge or anything. So I don't think there was no ovulation involved. This had to be a case where the suppression caused the cyst. I actually went to look it up, and I did find that in some cases where the doctor suppresses the female's ovaries for treatment of IVF or any kind of fertility treatment, that sometimes the antagonist or the agonist, antagonist, I guess that's how you say it. Anyway, sometimes that can cause a cyst. And in some instances, depending on if the cyst is producing estrogen or not, the cycle has to be canceled. Now, at this point, I have not gotten my blood work back, so I don't know if is producing estrogen. But I'm like, the devil know he busy. I go through one sturtle just to get to the next one. It's like I finally got past the polyp issue. Now you're telling me there's a cyst. In this whole 8 months journey that I have been on, I have never had a cyst in my ovaries until now. And I'm wondering if it was because she stopped me from the progesterone and switched me quickly to the birth control pills. If that's what caused it, I'm just not sure, because this all was done by the nurse. I don't know if, you know, the doctor told her to do it, because I don't have communication with the doctor. I only have communications with the nurse. So, and I think what the nurse do is talk to the nurse practitioner, you know, and the nurse practitioner tells them, you know, what's the next step to do. But girl, well, ladies, y'all just don't know just how upset I am. You know, even though I don't know for sure what's going to happen, but I have this real gusty feeling that this cycle is going to be canceled. Because one, it's bad enough that as a woman of advanced maternal age, we don't produce a lot of eggs as it is. And one of the things that a cyst can do is block the other follicles from growing, or block even more follicles from coming in. You know, some cases, you know, the doctor continue on with the cycle as long as the cyst is not producing estrogen. But I've actually seen some studies that were done on women who had cysts versus the women who did not have cysts, and based on those studies, the outcome showed that the women that had cysts had a lesser outcome than the ones that didn't have cysts. So it doesn't stop you from conceiving, but it impacts the whole process, you know, making it more difficult. And I don't need anything to make it more difficult than my age as it is. So yeah, I'm a little bit salty about that. And not to mention, you know, could this have been avoided? you know, because now I'm going to start asking questions as to why did y'all switch me from the Provera to the birth control and allow this to happen, you know? And you know, doctors or clinics or nurses or whatever, they never admit to no wrongdoing. So I'm not going to get them to admit to anything as far as, you know, why they did it. But then on top of that, oh God, I'm just so, you know, a little frustrated, but I'm going to be okay. On top of that, the egg, she couldn't even find no antral follicles in my left ovary, and she's thinking it's because they're behind that big old cyst. In the right ovary, she only saw probably about 4 to 5 of them versus the 10 of them that they saw just a couple of weeks ago. You know, and that's not a big issue, because when they suppress your ovaries, that's part of suppressing them. They don't want to see a lot of antral follicles. They actually want to grow the follicles themselves with the medication, instead of the follicles being there on their own, because those are the ones that end up jumping out and kind of being more dominant than the ones that are produced by the hormones that they're giving you. But I don't know, it just seemed like when it rains, it pours. And this finna go on another month. You know, this is why I want to move so forward to this donor, because I wouldn't have to go through this. I'll be pregnant by now. The only issue is I don't have enough money. And trust me when I say I have been saving. I have been saving. I have been saving. I don't have enough money to pay for an anonymous donor, which costs over $7,000. And that was at my old clinic. I don't even know about this clinic, because I'm sure this clinic is even more expensive, because at my old clinic, if I wanted to do PGD testing, that costed me about $3,500 versus this clinic that costs about $5,000 or something. It's over $5,000 or something for PGD testing at this clinic. So I just don't have the money for it. This is the reason why I came up with my own donor. Unfortunately, I am very particular about who I want to carry child in me, which is why I'm sticking with the donor that I chose. But her weight loss is not going as fast as I would like it, but at the same token, I can't rush her, and I'm not going to rush her, because she's doing this for me, and I'm not going to rush her. I'm trying to let her get all the time that it's going to take, you know, hoping that by the time excuse me, by the time I ended this cycle, let me take a little drink real quick. By the time I ended this cycle, she would have been done with the weight loss journey. And if I had not conceived using my own egg, we could move right into the donor cycle. But again, I'm not even sure what's gonna happen next, because I'm about to go in here and go to work, try to have a half a day of sanity, you know. And at the job that I work at, that's really hard to do when you're working with a lot of angry folks. Not the co-workers, but the people you have to deal with. The only good thing that could come out of all this mess is if I get a promotion. Yesterday I went for a job interview for $20-some thousand a year more promotion within my company, and they only got to make a choice between 2 people, and that's me and another co-worker. I am so praying that I get the job. However, we are unionized. And if any of you guys know about the union, you know the union is always for seniority. And this particular co-worker does have more seniority than me. She started 1 year earlier than me. But I have more qualifications than her. So we'll see how this is going to go. Is it going to go by who's more qualified or who has more seniority? Typically, the way the jobs promotion goes within the government, if you apply for a position and you have the highest seniority over everybody who applied, they automatically offer the position to you. And if you turn it down or you don't respond within a certain amount of time, then they go to the next person on the seniority. There's no interviewing, there's no nothing else besides being, you know, qualified for the position. But this was one of those management positions. So with this position, it requires qualifications plus your seniority. So this is why this position had to be interviewed, and they interviewed the two people that I was interviewed because I was the next on the seniority list, and she's higher than me. So I don't know which way it's gonna go, but I'm gonna tell you something. If it goes my direction, this whole thing of this TTC processing, please, it's gonna be a thing of the past. Cause now I'm gonna be a happy camper when I find out that I am about to be a management, and I'm gonna be making a lot more money than what I'm already making, and I can have that baby anytime I want to have it. But if I lose the opportunity of getting this promotion and starting this cycle, I am gonna be back to being depressed the same way I was right before I took my break. And Lord knows I don't want to go back to that point. So pray for me, ladies. I am going to attach the update to my blood work to this video once I get the results back. And I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay, guys, I'm back. What's up, baby? It's my brat. So I got my blood test results back, and sad to announce my cyst is producing estrogen. My cyst is a size 3 centimeters, which in follicular term, that is about a size 30 millimeter follicle. And we all know a 30 millimeter follicle is a very big follicle. So my estrogen level was 300 and something when it's supposed to be less than 70. So that just goes to show that my estrogen, my cyst is producing estrogen. Right now, they have not decided whether they're going to cancel the cycle. They actually want me to come back on Friday to recheck to see if the estrogen has gone down or the cyst has dissolved on its own. Depending on the type of cyst, some cysts, if they're left over from previous cycles, they usually dissolve pretty fast. They usually dissolve by the time you come on your next cycle, which I have not come on. You know, I haven't did the withdrawal bleed from the birth control. Other cycles, cysts, like complex cysts, they usually take about 2 to 3 months to go away on their own. So I'm not sure what kind of cyst it is, but I really, really don't want to wait all the way until April to start this process again, because this is really, really draining me. I really wish my donor was at her weight goal, because I would go straight to that and not even deal with my own anymore, because I'm just ready for this to begin and be over with. But it just seemed like the devil just constantly keep throwing a monkey wrench into this plan. And I'm almost wondering, is this even a part of God's plan? You know, because I always pray to God and ask him to let his will be done. So if this is not meant to happen, maybe it's not meant to happen, because I'm not sure, you know, why it just seemed like when I get over one hurdle, another one comes along. Most women, they have issues financially trying to continue on with this. And I don't even have a financial issue, but it's still draining me mentally, you know. So I'm not sure. I'm hoping and I'm praying that when Friday get here, this sister's gone. I plan on taking a really, really long hot bath today. I actually picked up this new Dr. Teal's Epsom salt. Now this Dr. Teal Epsom salt has, it says pure Epsom salt that eases from aches, soreness, and pain. It's mineral rich pink Himalayan salt to replenish and recharge. The big thing that caught my attention is this last one down here that say bergamot and sweet orange essential oils help provide relief from stress. So yes, I am going to take a nice long bath with this Epsom salt that's supposed to relieve me from stress. I bought me some bath bombs. This one has Camille in it, which I learned that Camille is really good for decreasing cysts. So I'm going to put one of these bath bombs in there. I'm also going to give myself castor oil treatment today. So I'm going to put a castor oil pack on for about 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm going to be focused more on the right side, which is the side that has the cyst on it. And I'm just hoping that by Friday, I think in order for me to stay in the March cycle, that I actually have all the way up until next week, Thursday. Thursday is the last day that you have to start treatment in order to get into March's cycle. After Thursday, then you have to go into April cycle. So I guess it's going to depend on whether or not the cyst is going to grow, because in some instances cysts do grow. So I guess that's what they want to check to see if it's going to grow, if it's going to keep producing more estrogen. I don't know. So at this point, I'm just going to just leave it in the hands of God. I'm about to go in here and do some calming exercise, my yoga. I have on my dress right here. This is my outfit I use when I work out. This is a one piece right here, but unfortunately I can't show it to you because it takes the boobs out, so it goes all over but except for the boobs. And then I have my waistband here, and then I have my also second piece to this top piece. So it's really good with, like, when you're working out and you're sweating. It really helps with all of that. So that's what I got. I also want to show you something else for a minute. So I'm going to pause this so I can go get it. Okay. So what I had decided to do with this cycle was to make sure that I was monitoring my own hormones at home closely, along with the doctor's office. So I decided to buy this at-home ovulation test kit. This kit comes with LH test strips. It comes with progesterone test strips and pregnancy test strips. I am more concerned about the LH strips, which is those, and the progesterone. So, I also have a Clear Blue Easy digital monitor. So, I've been monitoring my ovulation since my cycle started, just to make sure that there's not been any ovulation. After I stopped taking the last pill of the birth control, I started using the LH strips just to make sure that I'm not surging or anything. So I know that the cyst that's in my body is definitely a cyst and not a follicle. I plan to use the progesterone strips once they start treatment, if I get started this cycle, because the progesterone strips will let me know if there's any change in my progesterone, and if there's even one shade of change, I'm running to the doctor if I don't already have an appointment, because that indicates that I'm starting to ovulate on my own, and this time I want to be more in control of my body than letting my body be in control of itself. The doctors can only do so much. I can't blame everything on them, but I am kind of wondering how I got this cyst, because I don't understand how just 2 weeks ago, and here's my test results to show it. As you can see, the date say 2/12/2018. 2 weeks ago, I just had my test done, my baseline, because I started my cycle. And as you can see, right down there where it say cyst, it say none. Down there on the right, this was the left ovary, and it say cyst, it say none. This is the right ovary, cyst, it say none. And it also shows you my intrafollicle count was 8 to 9 on the right, and the intrafollicle count was 10 plus on the left. My uterus and everything was normal size. So there was absolutely nothing wrong with my uterus or my ovaries only 2 weeks ago. Now today, the test results look a lot different. I mean, the uterines look very enlarged. They can barely even find my right ovary. The right ovary is twisted to the back somewhere, which I've never had that problem the whole time I've been through this journey. And I got a cyst. So, how in the heck did all this happen in a matter of 2 weeks? You know, what went wrong besides the fact that you guys put me on progesterone, then later converted it into birth control, and now my whole hormones are off? That is the answer I'm looking for. And when I asked the nurse, she couldn't give me that answer. So, I'm going to keep my cool until they tell me that the cycle is cancer. That's when I'm going to lose my cool. And at that point, I'm going to demand to speak to the doctor. This clinic is not like the other clinic. This clinic, in the porter, you cannot send the doctors private messages like in my last doctor, RE. I used to send him porter messages, and he didn't like the messages I used to send him. So I guess it's a good thing I can't do that. But that's okay. I don't mind making an appointment and doing a face-to-face. But I want some answers. So I'm just going to keep my cool. But if those of you out there who have went through what I'm going through now, and you know some type of home remedy to get rid of a cyst quick, fast, in a hurry, don't hesitate to contact me. Alright? I see you ladies later. Bye.